under the NESARA rules, I believe that you're going to be obligated on top of your $6,000 a month, which you'll have to do something for. You'll be able to make another $6,000 a month managing some of the humanitarian projects for me and you, because we have one thing, it's called too much money, and we got to put that money to work. That's not the kind of money that wants to sit around and be lazy and be dormant. It wants to do stuff. Okay, folks, we got Molly Elmore back for a second time, and I could tell you we might get into a little bit of a debate, friendly debate, obviously, regarding NESARA. I know that there are two NESARAs, and we're going to get into that, and I'm sure after we get done, she'll hopefully agree with me.
That would be great, because I am feeling a little cynical today, simply because... one of my biggest fears in life is being played. I think we talked about this a little bit before. I hear you.
Guys, before we get started, hit the pause button and go to Rumble, QFS 1776, the holy grail of what's to come. If you want to learn how to charter the waters, you better get on board. Time is of the essence. It's the walls are closing in, okay? The T-shirts, you got to get yourself decorated, all right? Get yourself a nice T-shirt out there. The sort of people ask you, what is Ripple? What is XRP? What is NESARA? You send them to QFS1776.com. Unified TV, right down below. All right. You don't want to keep paying, all these different outlets out there, $19 a month, and they try to social engineer you and all that stuff like Netflix. You'd rather give your money to a real entity, and we can sort of, redirect the money where it goes, and we can paint a picture of what this world is going to be. It's going to be glorious. I'll tell you that right now. Gold and silver, the promo code's right down below. Okay. Get yourself some gold and silver. It's one of the biggest companies in the world. Okay. They have contracts with the U.S. Mint, one of many. Okay. And I can tell you that they deliver the gold directly to your doorstep. Telegram right down below. Also, don't forget the social media. Spread us out on your social media. You need to bypass the algorithms. And if you want to buy $10,000 worth, $100,000 worth, $500,000 worth, $1 million worth, $10 million, $100 million worth of XRP, I'm the guy that could do that for you. Okay. My brokers are spread far and wide all over the world, and we can get you as much XRP, XLM, XDC, as much of your favorite digital asset as you want. All right. Molly, welcome to the show. I know you want to have a little friendly debate with me regarding NESARA. And I, just for the record, I know that there are two NESARAs. One is the guys who have been running the world for a long, long time. And the other one is the good guys. So tell us what you know.
All right. So I'm an analyst by training and by trade. So what I tend to do is look for dots that I can connect. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that an analyst has to do is you have to draw conclusions from data and evidence. But the thing that people run into that's tricky is sometimes people take a conclusion and make it a fact. You're like, it's a fact that this YZ is happening. And to be honest, unless you're some kind of insider in the financial world or the government potentially, we are still at the stage where we are drawing conclusions and trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Now, there's lots of evidence to point to certain things, but I think that propaganda and media is used as a tool to sometimes lead us astray. Mm-hmm. Now, one of my biggest influences in all of this stuff is a book I read in like 2018, Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. I respect him highly. I've listened to a lot of his interviews and articles. He's an older man now, like he's at the end of his game. Like I don't think he's playing any propaganda games at this point. And he does tell stories about things that happened decades ago. And there was a NESARA movement in the 70s. We even had the same label. And it was kind of discredited because this kind of loony woman was pushing it. But I listened to an interview with him recently where he said that it's kind of the same idea of being recycled, that these sort of good guys have infiltrated the government and they are pushing this new government movement essentially to dismantle the Fed and give the power to manage currency to the Treasury. And while that sounds like a great idea, he has a very compelling point, which is as long as we have fiat money, we're going to have the same problem. And as long as you give people the power over the currency, we're going to run into the same problem because people, it's just too tempting to be corrupt. It's too tempting to serve your own personal interests. And that's where I would like to talk to you a little bit about NESARA, because it sounds a whole lot like the Great Reset. That what do you think it will solve that isn't just hopium?
Well, reset is where they want to program your money. The reset is where they are allowed to print the central bank digital currencies until the cows come home. The reset is controlled by the bad guys. The reset is the one that's going to control your money, and your money is going to be programmable, which means if you don't play by their rules, they shut your money down. That's a very real scenario in the event that we were to lose. But however, let me remind you, the military is in charge. There's a movement, the 17th letter in the alphabet that we're not allowed to mention, is in charge. You don't believe me? Take a look at the picture of President Kennedy's grave. It's in that letter, okay, in the 17th letter of the alphabet. 45 never left. He never capitulated. He never said, hey, congratulations to Mr. Joe, whatever, okay? The QFS and the quantum computers that are located in Reno, Nevada, and also in Dubai and also in Barcelona, Spain, are very real. What are they connected to? They're connected to the Starlink. It's all connected, you know, the manipulation of the market. Because you don't think these guys, first of all, we're trying to chase these guys out of town. There's a bulletin out there right now saying that something very huge is about to happen in the next couple of days. I'm not one that follows dates. And I can tell you that the markets have been manipulated ad nauseum. Reason why is because they don't want people that look like you and me to become multi-hundred millionaires or multi-billionaires. They don't have any interest in that because they will lose their power. When Trump came down the escalator, and to announce that he was running for president, there was a sign behind him. And I sound like a broken record because the people that are in my audience know this ad nauseum. They've heard me say the story over and over again, but there's 0.00006 of the world's population is here. The rest of the world still to come. So I got to keep telling the story for the new people, which they're not here yet. So he's come down the escalator, and there's a sign that says currency exchange. It's a message. It's a breadcrumb. Comes down the escalator. His wife is dressed in white. She's about 6 feet ahead of him. Again, there's a message there as well that somebody said. I forget what it was. He announces he's going to become president. He wants to run for president. He becomes the president of the United States. And he said, we're going to give the power back to you, the people. He was already programmed to give the people NESARA JSARA, the good NESARA JSARA, not the one from the cabal, not the one from the banksters. The banksters, look, the Federal Reserve of Australia is closed. It's big news. It's all over the internet. They just shut down. If you're not backed up by gold and you're a banking institution, first of all, you're going to be a financial service center. You're not going to be called a bank anymore. That is if you survive. If you don't survive, you go bye-bye, okay? Because you're not going to be able to sit in a situation where you're going to bleed the people. No more blood sucking. The blood sucking is about to expire, okay? So, yes, there is a struggle, the good JSARA versus the bad JSARA. And I've said this many, many times, because when I got into this game, I didn't get into this game to lose. I got into this game because I had my facts straight. And I realized that there was two players on the field, the Klaus Schwab crowd, which they want the global reset. And I also believe that there's the real NESARA JSARA, which the papers were written in 1958 by who? Farmers. They said, hey, we're getting the short end of the stick. This is the way things should be. Okay. And we teach that in QFS 1776. We have the documentation that is as close to the original document as you're going to ever get. If you go to QFS1776.com, there's two other websites that link through there. One is QSI Resources regarding the lobster, and then I'm going to get into the lobster in a little bit. And the other one is QFS2020.com, which is, if you read through that and you go watch all the videos inside that website, when you come out the other end, you got a 10th degree black belt on what? NESARA JSARA, the real one, the one that's winning about 100,000 to nothing. So with that said, we have all the documents. That's why I say it's the Holy Grail. I don't say those words lightly. It is the Holy Grail of what's to come. And for the people who have immersed themselves, I've had people call me from Sweden, from Germany, from Belgium. They said, hey, we want to translate this into our language. We want to get your website. I said, knock yourself out. I'm not here to save the world by myself. I'm just one little guy here in Costa Rica. What do I know? Okay. That's how well it's been done. Now, in regards to, the global reset, I say it's losing because you see the signs all around you. The banks are closing. You go down to Washington, D.C., the IRS is closed. The Federal Reserve is closed. The Treasury is closed. They did get arrested. Okay. And whatever's left is merged with the Treasury. Whatever's left of the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and the IRS has merged with the Fed and also, I believe, Ripple, because they're not allowed to leave. See, if you and I were so smart, Molly, and we were able to invent the most powerful monetary system the world has ever seen, do you think for 1 second that the United States government is going to say, oh, yeah, Molly and Mel, yeah, you just invented the most powerful monetary system the world is ever going to see. Go ahead and run the world. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? They're going to invite us into a private room. They're going to put a .45 caliber in the middle of the table. And they're going to say, you guys are going to do what? Where do you guys think you're going? That's how backroom deals are done. You're not going to be able to take the most powerful monetary system ever known to mankind called XRP, which is about to engulf the world. It's going to move all the money. And we're talking about 5 quadrillion in the old world, 50 quadrillion in the new world. Why? Because all of Africa is unbanked. Most of Southeast Asia is unbanked. The UBI, the universal basic income of $5,000, $6,000 a month, has to travel through something. That something is going to be XRP. When you start to sort of wrap your mind and start to do the mathematics of pluses and minuses and multiplications and divisions, you start to understand one thing emphatically. And that thing is what? That XRP is going to move about 50 quadrillion. You can't move 50 quadrillion with a 50-cent token or with a 39-cent token. It just doesn't happen. They don't want you to pay attention to it, so they slap a lawsuit. They put all this negative publicity out there. The lawsuit was settled October 1st, 2021. We have the video to prove that. We have the documentation. As they say, documentation always beats conversation. It's true. We got it. All right. Emily from QSI did a bang-up job. She's coming back. She's coming back basically to let us know that buying XLM, by the way, is equally as important as owning XRP going into this quantum financial system. She's going to be here November 28th. You might want to join us for that. So there's my argument. I think it's got a lot of validity. A lot of people are following me. There's over 100,000 people on all these different platforms following me at this point. I don't think I would get that big in 9 months if I didn't have my story straight. Now, is there disinformation out there? Yes. The disinformation comes from 107. But I'm glad that Dr. Charlie Ward was able to hold his feet to the fire recently and basically said, hey, there's two, NESARA and NESARA. Oh, yeah, I know. But why are you saying, that there's no such thing as NESARA? He was trying to say there's no such thing as NESARA and NESARA, the bad guys, and they're not going to win. But a guy that's so smart, a guy that's so long-winded, a guy that's so thorough, all of a sudden had a little, reaction of amnesia. I don't think so. It's deliberate. Okay. But NESARA is very real. I've had, now to bring it home, I've had people on my show who have had mortgage forgiveness, student loan forgiveness, car loan forgiveness, government. I got 2 more in the queue that are coming. A gentleman recently, I'm saying 2 weeks ago, got a letter from Chase. And the letter basically stated, look, we've been screwing you on your mortgage. We're willing to pay you back $8.91 for every dollar you paid in interest for the last however many years. This is happening. This gentleman is also one of our administrators in our Telegram group, which you guys should join down below, free of charge. You need to learn how to charter the waters. And he's coming on the show. We have documentation. We're showing you the proof. Okay. So can you rebuttal that, Molly?
Yes. So I just want to ask you I want to talk about a couple things specifically first. So
sure.
If you look at what the Great Reset, what the list of things are, and you look at NESARA, there's a lot of things in common. One is this idea of universal basic income. Now, in the Great Reset, you're apparently going to be given a very meager amount. So life's going to kind of suck because you'll be at the poverty line. But in NESARA, you're going to be given more. But fundamentally, the same idea is that money will be redistributed to the masses, and some unknown entity is going to be deciding who gets what. That's really where my beef is with both of these, is that I didn't elect anybody to be in charge of deciding what I get. Mm-hmm. Who is this group of unelected officials who is now in charge of either system? So that's the one thing, is this universal basic income. The second thing is they both are different forms of one world government, which I'm also not a fan of. I don't really want a global leader in charge of everybody, because you know what? If they suck, there's nowhere to go. If the leader of a country sucks, all right, no problem. I'm going to go move to another country. But the one world government movement, it's unelected officials. They have tremendous amounts of power, and they're not living under any kind of constitutional Bill of Rights type of thing. And NESARA has the same thing. It's just SARA. I mean, forget about NESARA. Just SARA is like, globally, we're going to redistribute all this money. A group of people that you don't know who they are. They're some kind of anonymous secret people, but we're going to trust that in this case, they're good guys. They're going to be giving you all this money. The third thing is this rules-based order thing, which is what the New World Order is like relabeling themselves as, because they keep getting, appropriately bad press for all their silliness. So the rules-based order is this programmable money idea, but if you don't follow our rules, which are subjective, then we're going to give you consequences. In one of your podcasts I listened to the other day, you were talking about how if everybody is now abundantly wealthy, you might have certain like neighborhoods where undesirable people now move in, and you implied that there would be some kind of rules around what you could do with your money in NESARA. So if I'm given all this money, I can't go start a human trafficking business, right? There's going to be some kind of rules-based thing. So it just reminded me again, we're going to be giving you out all this money, and there's going to be an unknown group of people who are not accountable to anybody making rules about what you can and can't buy. Now, one group of marketing is like saying this is going to sound really bad, but the NESARA marketing team is like, oh, this is going to sound really good. It's going to be for your benefit. But at the end of the day, and both groups have debt forgiveness. So that to me is not a unique NESARA thing. A big part of the Great Reset is they're going to collapse your debt. And you're going to get CBDC in exchange with conditions. So they have just too many things in common for me to see them as different options.
Okay. If the CBDCs had any validity, the only CBDC that will have validity is each individual country currency. That's it. The central bank digital currency is never going to see the light of day, because I've said this a million times and I'll say it again, and I'll make an example with you. If I was to buy your house, wherever it's located over there in Atlanta, and you are willing to accept XRP as payment, or you're willing to accept XDC or XLM as payment, or Cardano, and you give me your address key to your wallet, and I send a very small tranche to make sure I got the correct wallet address, and I say, can you read the numbers that I just sent? Yes, 27342, whatever, of Cardano. And I just sent you just a fraction to make sure that the transaction could go through and that is the correct address. And you're willing to accept your money for the house sale in Cardano or an XRP or an XLM or an XDC. Do I need to go through a central bank digital currency? Please, I hope the answer is no.
No.
No. So question number 2. Can the bank or the government, or the bank and the government, show up to your doorstep and put a gun to your head and say, no, you got to use the central bank digital currency. You can't go on your own. Could they do that?
It'll be difficult to opt out of CBDCs if we still have to pay taxes, and taxes have to be paid in that currency. I mean, that's the one way they get around it. Now, in our world, still, people have jobs.
Right.
I don't know if post NESARA, if nobody has a job, then I don't know who's going to work at any stores. Like the whole market, the whole economy is going to fall apart if no one works anywhere. And we still have to, if you're an employee, you get paid in whatever your boss wants to pay you in. So to say that you can totally opt out of the system isn't really practical if we still have an economy where you pay taxes and people get paid by an employer.
You're going to pay.
Now, whether you and I want to do a private, whether we do a private transaction, XRP, like each walnuts for all we wanted to do, there's still sort of legally restricted operations in the world, meaning taxes. If I want to buy a plane ticket, I got to use whatever the airline wants. Like, you can't totally opt out of CBDCs if the stuff you want to do in society requires in a CBDC.
Like I said, the reason why there's such a pullback and there's such a struggle, because you would understand that we would have this turkey out of the oven a long time ago if the banksters would go from being worth, millions, tens of millions, $50 million to being worth, trillions of dollars. But because they don't want people that look like you and me to be wealthy, there's a major struggle. They don't believe that me and you should be the new ruling class. To that, I say tough shit. Okay, there will be a flat tax, and the flat tax under NESARA is going to be a 14 to a 17% flat tax on things you want, things that are not a necessity. Things that are a necessity, like clothes, medicine, things like that, or shoes. You need reading glasses, whatever. Those are necessities. You're not going to pay a tax on that. The flat tax, absolutely nobody can get away from it, because right now we have 7,200 multi-billionaires, and some of them are multi-trillionaires. The Rothschild family being one of them, the Vanderbilts being another one of them, and so on. Okay, and they pay zero, very, very little taxes. They pay probably less than you and I combined. And the facts are, because they're able to hide behind their 501c3, which is the same rule book that your churches use, and they pay zero taxes. And they're able to buy all these, fancy luxury yachts and helicopters and jet crafts, whatever, and homes all over the world. They do absolutely nothing for humanity. With this tax, they don't care who you are, because the 501c3 is going to go away. And it's going to go away permanently, as in like never to be seen again. So once that happens, and now you got 8 billion people on Earth that have no choice, because now everything is on the blockchain, and you have to pay your 14 or 17% tax religiously. At the end of the day, there's a lot more money in the cash register with this system than the old system. So your property taxes goes away. Okay. Your income taxes goes away. Your income taxes is a bullshit story anyway, because the IRS is registered. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more times. They're registered where? They're registered in Puerto Rico. They're not even an American entity. They're a Puerto Rican corporation collecting taxes where? In the United States of America. The taxes go where? To the Vatican and over to London, England, the monarchy. Okay. None of the taxes you pay build your bridges or go to your schools or any of that stuff. Okay. So it's a big, it's the biggest collection agency, illegal collection agency, successful illegal collection agency ever assembled. Okay. Flat tax is going to be real. It's not going to be a new world order in the sense that there's going to be totalitarianism. No. On the contrary, there's going to be 1,000 years of peace with the system. And I do believe that Trump possibly comes back as a king of sort. And I believe that potentially who takes over that will be none other than John, his son, rather, not John Jr. A lot of people say that he's alive. I don't know. A lot of people say he's alive. Is there a possibility? Everything's possible. Do I believe that McAfee's still alive? Yes. Now, I want to get back to the one thing you said in regards to once the real estate market crashes and your $1 million home now is worth $50,000, and you got a bunch of hoodlums that are maybe not criminals. They're nice people, but they like to wear their pants down below their, their butt crack. And the reality is that they want to come buy your house, and they're sort of ghetto type people. It doesn't matter whether they're white, yellow, Asian. I've seen all kinds wear pants like that. Okay. And you don't want those kinds of people in your neighborhood. Well, that is where, you have to be understanding that your neighbors, they don't want that kind of stuff or that kind of people living in their neighborhood. So the people that are ghetto, they're going to have to either get up with the program and get educated and dress properly and possibly potentially buy a few belts. Okay. And yes, have I met some of these people that are very, very nice people? Yes. But you can't mix these different two classes systems in an affluent neighborhood, even though the homes went from $1 million down to $50,000, just because the guy that wears droopy drawers, regardless of his skin color, now is making $6,000 a month universal basic income. That also does not mean that he doesn't do nothing for that money. He's got, I believe, this is me speculating, I could be completely wrong, but I don't believe I am. Under the NESARA rules, I believe that you're going to be obligated on top of your $6,000 a month, which you'll have to do something for. You'll be able to make another $6,000 a month managing some of the humanitarian projects for me and you, because we have one thing, it's called too much money, and we got to put that money to work. That's not the kind of money that wants to sit around and be lazy and be dormant. It wants to do stuff, right?
All right.
So whether you're
saying different than communism, where I tell you that you have to do some kind of job you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who decides what job someone has to do in this NESARA thing? And right now, the question. If you don't have good skills and you don't have initiative, then you kind of are stuck taking a crappy job. There's a built-in motivation for you to work hard to better your situation in life.
Mm-hmm.
If you take all that away because you're giving everyone universal basic income, I don't know how the economy doesn't just simply collapse in terms of the production of goods and services, because now there's no incentive.
Well, there's going to be so much technology that's going to be released with NESARA slowly, but it will be released. A lot of it's going to be automation. A lot of these people that don't have the skills, we will have plenty of money in place to have, recreational schools or vocational schools to teach you whatever it is that new world is going to be demanding. I don't have the answers to everything. I'm learning just like everybody else. I could tell you that we're going into a different world. It's going to happen. The NESARA from the cabal is going to lose. The NESARA of the QFS XRP 4517 is going to win. There's no question. I put all my money on that. And I could tell you that the first two countries to sign up, and because I'm going to let you in on something, it's already been signed. Every single country has already signed the dotted line that they're going with the NESARA of 4517 QFS, and I can tell you that the first two countries, most people don't know this out there, is Iran and North Korea. They're already signed on the dotted line.
They're signing up.
They're signing up for the new NESARA, not the globalist NESARA.
Okay. Who is managing this? Let's call it the good guy one. Who's managing it? So when you sign up for something,
Space
you're
Force,
signing up for being
Space Force, the Galactics, 45, the Q movement, the Army. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. This has been the most epic silent war in the history of the world. You have
another part of the Great Reset is that they want martial law and they want to have a militaristic rule, order that we don't have any rights when you're under martial law. And that's been part of the 17 thesis, not necessarily the drops themselves, but the community is like, oh, Trump signed all these executive orders and we're now under control of the National Guard and the government, which isn't really an awesome setup, because that means that the military has suspended our civil liberties.
The military's in charge. Will there be some kind of martial law? Some people seem to think so. Some people think it's going to happen in the next few days. I don't know. I have no way of telling. I don't have anybody on the inside talking to me in my ear. I'm not that important. But I will tell you that if the military, if you all of a sudden, let's say next week or next month, you start to see the military on the street, that's because the arrests on a grand scale, because you see, you cannot have good and evil coexist on this planet. You have to, one's got to win, one's got to lose, and we ain't losing. Okay. You cannot have NESARA from the good people. Okay. 45, the Q movement, the 17, all of that stuff. Right. And have MS-13 and the Italian mafia and the Chinese mafia and the Russian mafia. No,
Okay.
these entities have to be wiped away. It's a big undertaking. It's the biggest war, even though you don't see bombs dropping and, you know, homes exploding and buildings exploding and aircraft, war aircraft flying overhead. That does not mean that we're not in a war. We're in a war. This is the biggest war. This is not World War III. This is World War V. Okay. And Trump is playing the deep state like a fiddle. And they don't know what to do with him. There's going to be an arrest of Donald Trump. I believe it's more optics than anything else. I think they're going to make everybody believe that we're 2 inches away from, you know, a nuclear attack. I think they're going to have everybody get to their knees and have a Jesus moment. I don't genuflect to all of that because I know better. There's not going to be a nuclear attack. We come out of this smelling like a rose. This is like having a baby. You know, when you have a baby and it comes out of its mother's womb, it's got blood, it's got pus, it's got all kinds of stuff on it. It looks disgusting. But then when you clean it up, you got a beautiful baby. Right? And that's exactly this is we're in the middle of giving birth to a new world. And on the other side,
let's talk about mass arrests for a second, because I mean that was something that happened rampantly in World War II. People were arrested for things they hadn't necessarily done, or simply because of who they, you know, their religion or ethnicity or something. How are these mass arrests ensuring that they're not arresting wrong people? Like, nobody gets due process when you do these mass arrests. I'm just trying to, like, how is this a whole lot better than what was happening before? I want the bad guys to be held accountable, but there's just appears to be no transparency in this system either, where I don't know if we're stepping in the right direction by arresting large groups of people and not giving them any right to a trial.
Well, when they're imposing medical procedures on your little ones that are going through the schooling system, which is owned by the state, it's a brainwashing center for the state, and they're mandatory wearing that thing. Okay, for the kids, and they can't breathe properly, and they're having all kinds of illnesses, and these kids are going to be traumatized. They're going to have to go through therapy for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years when this is all said and done. When you are a police officer and you're beating up little old ladies because they're not wearing that thing, walking their dog on the street, when you're a police officer and you're going into a restaurant, and because you don't have some kind of a green check mark in your passport, you're not allowing people to eat their meals in peace, there's going to be hell to pay.
Okay.
If you think you're going to walk away from this unscathed,
I don't think people should be able to get away with crimes, but
they're not going to get away with nothing. Nobody walks away from this.
But you still get your day in court. You still should have an opportunity to defend yourself, because the wrong person can get arrested for stuff very easily. Yeah,
the American people know who you are. The American people are going to want their pound of flesh. And they're going to get.
Humanity loves a scapegoat. I know that.
They're going to get their pound of flesh. There's no negotiations here. Give it up.
I guess I've been a little disillusioned with the legal system because of the Durham fiasco that's been dragging on for years. We seem to get our hopes up that there's going to be justice, and then time after time there isn't.
I could tell you, Molly, that you're in a movie and what you see is not what you get. The people you see walking around could very well be clones. I can tell you that I trust David Straight 100%. David Straight knows the people who are running the trials down in Guantanamo Bay by first and last name. We're talking admirals here. We're not talking just any Joe Blow, run of the mill. Okay. There are 30 people that there are more than 30. There are hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, that are in the news business, mainstream news business. And they put their name in a hat, and they pick 30 names out of that hat, understanding that if your name gets called and you decide to go down there, you're not allowed to leave. There are 30 mainstream newscasters down in Guantanamo Bay, telling the story. And they're going to tell the story in due time. The story will be told because it's going to be the biggest story in the history of the world. Nothing will even come close. And I will tell you this. All these people you see walking around, they've had the cloning technology since 1962. That was a year before I was born. They've had it. Now it's perfected.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Do you think for 1 second that Biden is going to do what? Student loan forgiveness? Mortgage forgiveness? Is it possible that maybe this dude is being controlled by the white hats? Yeah. You betcha. You betcha. Absolutely. Okay. Nancy Pelosi, that thing that flew over there in Taiwan, that thing wasn't her. It's not her. These people have been dealt with. Like I said, this is the biggest silent war. There'll be books written about this. There'll be movies. There'll be series that are going to be hundreds of episodes long to tell the story for the next 1,000 years. You're living in the most historical time of planet Earth. This story, this story connects all the way to 45, Ripple, XRP, the quantum financial system, the nodes that reside on the Starlink that are connected to the 3 computers, one in Dubai, one in Reno, and the other one in Spain. Folks, we are about to transform. We're going to go from Lamborghinis to flying cars. We're going to go from combustion engine to free energy technology that you can't explain because it has no moving parts. And it doesn't need any maintenance. The yachts of tomorrow are going to run on this technology. You don't need gas tanks and diesel tanks and all this junk. We're about to go into an era of Aquarius and a ecological, a technological world that most people who refuse to pay attention right now are not going to be able to understand the world they live in when they wake up. And when that day happens, look for your nearest conspiracy theorist for instructions.
Now, do you think there's going to be a flip the switch moment where we wake up and it's all different, or is this going to be a staged thing?
I believe that I don't know. I believe that we can all speculate until the cows come home. And I believe that, yes, there's some people like Mr. Poole that says there's going to be a flip of the switch and XRP is going to go to $10,000 in, a couple of weeks, whatever. Hope so. I hope so that would be great for especially all the XRP holders. A lot of people that are arguing the market cap. Oh, you can't have XRP at $1,000 because that's more than half of the world's currency and blah, blah, blah. The market cap is going to have nothing to do with the new world. Zero.
I agree with that.
Zero. They're going to take that son of a bitch and going to flush it down the toilet.
I've written a few threads about Jimmy Valley's thesis that XRP could be revalued almost in a Bretton Woods or Plaza Accord type arrangement where it's set to a specific value. But his thesis is that central banks met a disagreement where NESARA, central banks are going away. So why would they make an agreement if they were going away? Who issues the money?
The central banks of tomorrow are going to be called financial service centers. They're going to run on a software called PolySign. Okay? PolySign
is a custodian. So
custodialship,
they hold digital assets.
Bingo. Right. What is your bank right now? Custodialship of your money, but they're bleeding you dry for hundreds of years. We're going into a new system where you could store your digital currency. It's going to be very simple. They got to make it simple, stupid. Why? Because they have to bring in the masses. And right now, It's not ready for prime time because the average person, that's why we set up the Telegram group, guys. Everybody out there should be telling 10 people who tell 10 people who tell 10 people who tell 9 times. That happens, and we get 1 billion people inside the room that need to transition over. It's not about wanting to transition over. The system is coming. The train is going to leave the station, and it's going to leave with or without you. And it's coming. It's here. So, yes, look, at the end of the day, to answer your question, Molly, if they need that XRP, because it's going to be the one, and we know it is, to move all of the money, and they need that thing to be $50,000 or $100,000 or $250,000, like Captain Kyle says, yeah, they're going to probably do it very, very quickly. You know why? Not because they're going to make Molly and Mel multi-billionaires. No. It's now because of their convenience. Whoever's left behind, whoever didn't have to go down to Guantanamo Bay and pay the fiddler. Nobody gets away with all the crimes to humanity. And NESARA, one's going to win, one's going to lose. The bad guys are going to go away. The bad NESARA is going to go away. The banks are going to go away. The NESARA for the people, the one that's part of the quantum awakening, is here to stay. Make no mistake about it. And you're going to be in charge of your money. No one's going to be able to turn your money off because you don't agree, or you're walking down the street and you have a little square box around you saying, Mel cannot buy an airline ticket this month. Bullshit. I'll jump in my flying saucer. I don't need your airplane. We're still driving cars that are floating on air tires, filled with air, rubber tires. Think about this, okay? We're still scraping the earth like turkeys. We're not allowed to travel in space. And we're still flying in metal objects that resemble a bird. What is wrong with this picture in 2022, besides everything?
So if we transition to this new type of technology very quickly, like, who's making all of it? Are there factories for it? Like, do people work in these factories?
The Galactics.
Where are they?
The Galactics.
They're on other planets?
Galactics, yeah. Trump has, listen, according to Ishmael Perez, and he's been on my show several times. He's been around a lot now. He's being passed around like a joint at a Grateful Dead concert, okay? And I could tell you that he is not from around here. I'm not from around here either, except I'm not allowed to remember, because if I'm allowed to remember, I probably become a lot more, more physical than I'm not an easy customer is what I'm trying to tell you. The reality is that there are meetings going on right now today where Trump literally teleports to Mars, and they have meetings with Space Force, with the Galactics. And there are things going on where there's massive security on other planets where he's safe away from all the BS. And there are things that are going to happen on this Earth that are being decided on other planets today. They're going to freak everybody out. Everything they sold to you as a science fiction story was always science fact. Andrew Biasago, who was interviewed many, many times, I would love to interview him, by the way. A lawyer from Paramus, New Jersey, has a vocabulary that's second to none. He's not rough like this pizza guy, okay? I'm rough around the edges. I love it though. And I could tell you that he has gotten into portals and literally has been on other planets and other time zones, etc. And it's very real. It is very real. But the reason why it's so easy to hide, because the truth is so fantastical. You could put it underneath someone's nose and they'll say, no, that doesn't exist.
So do you think we'll be able to go to Mars like in our lifetime? Like this is going to be soon, or does it keep getting dragged out?
100%. 100%. When we win, things are going to roll out very, very quickly. In the next 5-10 years, you will not recognize Mother Earth. We're going to clean the waterways. We're going to clean the rivers. We're going to clean the lakes. We're going to clean the dirt. We're going to clean the air. We're going to get rid of all these trails that they've been leaving behind. Okay? We're going to go into med beds. Medical beds are very real. The reason why people thought I was a cuckoo bird, I've been talking about medical beds for 27, 28 years. Oh, no, here comes Mel with his medical bed story. But they've been showing it to you in the movies.
Your take on med beds kind of like Elysium, where you go and you just lay down and it magically like cures you? Okay.
Yes, it's real. It's very real. There are civilizations that have conquered every single disease. There are civilizations that have conquered they're basically immortal. Some of them don't die. Okay. Most of them live to be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years old is a common occurrence. Imagine being 3,000 years old and you look like you're 30. There are people right now from TLS right here on this earth with Jason Shirka, he's interviewed, disclosure 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm sure there'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. And they're not from here. TLS, the light system, the light system, I believe.
Okay.
Okay. This is the people that actually approached him and said, you got to get Dr. Sandra Michael Rose technology out there. And we got it out there. It's the scalar wave technology. The technology itself doesn't heal you. It just provides the atmosphere so that you can get healed. If you're out in Lehigh, over in Utah, make sure we'll leave the links down below. Go see Maria Schiavelli, or if you're in New Jersey, Hillsborough, we'll leave the links down below as well. Make sure you see Mary Scodato. Okay. The reality is it works. The technology that for us to live 300-400 years is here right now. It's here right now because it's the scalar wave technology basically creates an atmosphere that when you're literally immersed in this energy, your cells react and they start to produce healthy cells, which in turn produce healthy cells. And it just keeps replicating like that. And next thing you know, things that you had in your body that the medical industry, which we will put out of business, say can't be healed, automatically are disappearing. Thousands and thousands and thousands of testimonials. And now they got me on the team. That's a problem.
Have you ever used one of these?
I have not, but I've been studying the Rife technology for over 25, 26 years. I know about frequency technology for a long, long time. I'm a weird dude. As a matter of fact, I learned about Rife technology while I was here in Costa Rica getting some dental work done one day. I was staying at this guy's house, Larry, down in Cariati. And he said, hey, put out this box. He said, hey, this is a Rife machine. So he'd explained to me the whole history and everything. And I was fascinated. I said, if you could tap into a specific, because every disease, according to Rife, lives on a frequency, every disease. And if you could tap into that frequency, you could destroy the disease. There would be no reason to put Rife in jail and confiscate his machine and destroy the patents. No one's ever been able to replicate the Rife machine exactly the way the original one was because it worked. Because it worked. That's why they put him in jail. That's why they got rid of the patents. That's why they got rid of the machines. The medical industry, the medical mafia industry does not want any competition. Now it's a little too late because this thing, by the time it's all said and done, there's going to be 100 locations by the end of this year. You heard me right. Okay.
But there's like 6 weeks, 2 months left in the year.
Yeah. And a good friend of mine is opening up a place where? In San Diego. Chalupa, I think it's called Chalupa, San Diego. It's right near the border of Mexico. So we're going to put a couple of these locations over in Chalupa, and we're going to get people to feel better. And it's the body that heals the body. The body, the actual technology does not heal you. It's the body that heals the body because it recognizes the technology. It's like your dog. You ever see your dog and he goes and hangs out in the sun like 20, 30 minutes a day? It's built into their DNA.
Yeah.
Animals are a lot smarter than we are. The sun doesn't heal you, but they know that it's important to get at least 20, 30 minutes of sunshine every day. And they do it religiously, don't they? I know for a fact because my dogs are in here in the pen outside. It's like 12 by 12, right? Size. And there's a part of the day where the sun will shine and they will go and gravitate to that part of the pen and lay down and get their 20, 30 minutes of sunshine. Do you think maybe they know something we don't know? You bet.
I think animals have incredible instincts that humans often ignore.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a friendly debate. I think you're right. There is two NESARAs, one that wants to kill you and one that wants you staying alive. Okay. and that's really what it comes down to. All right. And someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. And Klaus Schwab is not unopposed. And I hate to tell you, Klaus Schwab is a clone. And it's not the first version. It's probably the third or fourth. Okay. Because they don't last that long.
I would like to see justice with that crowd, though.
You're going to see
and for them to have to
you have listen, once you see it, Molly, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I'm in this movie 17 hours a day, every day. I get a lot of information sent to me. I'm an information junkie. I got a lot of people that have the same disease as I have. And we exchange information. We analyze the breadcrumbs from 99 different conceivable angles, and then we come up with the best conclusion. And we're as close to the fire as you'll ever get. When the news doesn't work anymore, you become your own news station. That's what we do. Okay. Can you imagine?
Agree with that completely.
Can you imagine a pizza guy doing the news? And I don't even read, news articles to that's boring. I just tell you, I watch the information, I put it in my mind, and then I tell it to you the way I see it, right? But
I hope this movie plays out with a good ending.
Oh, it will, and you can come fly on my flying saucer anytime you want.
I want one of those robot maids from the Jetsons.
Yeah, everything's going to be so intuitively smart and so advanced technology. Imagine you telling somebody that eventually you're going to have a replicator in your kitchen, and you're basically going to be able to telepathically tell this device that you want a New York cheesecake, argument's sake, and it makes you a New York cheesecake. Or you want a porterhouse steak, and it makes you a porterhouse steak. And then when you're done, you take your dishes, you put them underneath the replicator, and they literally disintegrate back into the fabric of the earth. What do you think they would say? They say, Molly, let me introduce you to my psychiatrist.
Well, I'm curious how you create matter out of nothing. And it's going to take away the whole artistry of food and restaurants and people who are chefs. If you no longer.
Oh, yeah. Police officers will no longer be needed. Chefs will no longer be needed. Airplane pilots will no longer be needed. Stewardess that work on the airplane will no longer be needed. Builders that build homes will no longer be needed. Everything is about to change drastically. And nobody knows.
Will we still grow food? Were there still
you
farms?
can still grow your own food if that's what you choose to do. Absolutely. But you'll be able to grow food in pristine soil that's got all the trace minerals and and you won't need to eat as much because you eat just a little bit and you're satisfied. Why? Because the food is densely, the nutrients are so densely compact that you eat a couple bites and you're satisfied.
How would people even know what a New York cheesecake was if they grew up eating this thought conjecture food?
Oh, then you'll have to come over to my house and use my replicator.
All right, so we'll need the older generation to teach the younger generation about what to conjure up out of nothing.
Absolutely. But, you have any closing statements or anything you want the audience to know, or how they could find you? What is your channel? How do they find you, etc.?
Yes. So I have moved to a new platform that I'm actually very fond of called Locals. And my new group is called 2stepsahead.locals.com. And I'm a fan of it because I'm not as censored as I was on Facebook, which became an increasingly bigger problem. And my goal and mission with my group actually is we are determined to figure out what is the future of money and how does it work? and get into a lot of the details about how currency reevaluations would actually happen, how will people pay for things. Now, my group may become obsolete if this NESARA takes place in the near future and that those questions are solved for us. But until that day happens, I will continue my relentless pursuit of figuring out what is going on with the system of money and how will we operate. But twostepsahead.locals.com is my new group to talk about that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna break the news to you and your audience. My audience pretty much knows about this. In the next 15, 20, 30 years, let's just put, Murphy's Law. Let's calculate Murphy's Law, because everything humanity touched turns to, what? Money will cease to exist, because if you have a replicator that can build you a flying saucer or a beautiful house on the coast of the most beautiful beach that you like, it can make your house smaller. It can make your house bigger, literally in 24 hours. It's all automated. It's all the most amazing technology. Don't even try to even figure out you don't know what the technology that makes your car work or your washing machine, but you put your clothes in there and it washes your clothes, right? You press a few buttons, you're done. But you don't know what the engineers had to go to put that machine together. Don't try and figure it out. Just go with the flow. But in the future, in 20 years, I predict 20 years at the very outside, money will cease to exist. Because if you have a replicator that can make you the most amazing computer and build you the most amazing home in the most amazing location of your desire, and you're not paying income taxes, property taxes, sales, the only thing you're paying is taxes on things that right? Eventually the money is going to disappear, because if you have a machine that can make you porterhouse steaks and New York cheesesteaks, New York cheesecake, and the most amazing New York pizza, whatever it is you like to eat, why do you need money for? It makes you clothes. It makes you the most amazing Italian leather boots. That's where we're going. Because you know why? Because that's where our brothers and sisters are at right now. What I'm describing to you already exists on other planets.
What do they do all day?
Well,
you don't have to work.
They actually go to school for 150 years on average. They learn to become lawyers, judges, doctors, everything, scientists, everything, marine biologists, everything that is, that is dear to their heart. They go to school for a long time because they live a long time. They can afford to waste 100. Imagine dealing with a human being that goes to school, to a real school, not an indoctrination camp, a real school that teaches you real stuff that you're going to use in real life, that goes to school for 150 years. What kind of conversation?
Who are the teachers?
Yeah. The teachers are very enlightened.
Job?
Yeah, these are teachers who have been around for thousands of years. Yeah. You need to watch. So the
whole system of economy that we have now, where people barter and have goods and services for sale, you're saying that's just done?
Yeah, everything's going to go away. Everything's going to change 180 degrees. And I've been at this for 31 years, and I feel sorry. See, when I went to school, I realized it was a big waste of time. I said, none of this stuff is ever going to apply. I went to college. I'll make you laugh. I went to college to become business management, business management and hotel management. That's the field I wanted to pursue.
Okay.
The problem is I was born in business. At the age of 11, I was running pizza shops with my dad and my mom. I went to the school of hard knocks. I went, you learn on the job training. Okay. And when I went to college, after like 6 months, I said to my professor, I said, business teachers don't know jack shit about business. He says, why? I said, because if you knew anything about business, you'd be in business. There's a lot more money to be made in business than what you're doing, And with that was maybe a 45-minute conversation over some lunch. And he said, Mel, if that's the way you feel, you don't belong here. And I know I didn't belong. It was my mom's like, hey, I think you should go to college. Okay, I'll go to college. I was going to college for her, not for me. A waste of time. I spent $650 on books that I could have used going on a vacation. Okay, probably would have learned a lot more. But yeah, no. And all the schooling system, even now you got Robert Kiyosaki coming out, and you got Grant Cardone coming out. You got people like Patrick Bennett from Valuetainment coming out saying schooling is a waste of time. These are billionaires. These are billionaires. These are people who know a thing or two about life.
I agree completely that the current education system is totally messed up, and priorities are definitely skewed, and it's been corrupted by the cartel. But I do believe that education in a better form is necessary. If you don't know how to do stuff, then people won't have any motivation to get them excited about things. If you really had no need, this is why like super rich people are often lost in life, because they have no drive and no motivation to accomplish anything. And if everybody now, you take away any incentive to accomplish something, like, I'm just really curious what people will do with their time and whether it will be constructive.
Exactly. Well, it's definitely going to be a different world. It's going to take some adjustments. Nobody knows all the rules. A lot of us are speculating. The ones that are paying as close attention as we could possibly pay in 17 hours a day. And we're in the movie and we love it. And we know what's coming. We know that we're going into this glorious level of freedom that we have never experienced before. You know, we thought we were free before this whole pandemic hit us. You have no idea the level of freedom you are about to experience. It's going to be biblical. It's going to be biblical.
Let's do it.
Let's say goodbye to the audience. I'm going to hold you over for a little bit. Guys, if you listen this far, do me a favor, take this video and spread it out there far and wide. Don't forget Unified TV down below. If you haven't watched Disclosure 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on Unified TV, you might want to do that. It is absolutely epic. Yeah, this guy talks about people that have been around here right now on Earth that are 480 years old teaching some kids over there in Israel, okay? Amazing stuff. And I believe all of it. Thank you, guys.